You hear a lot of people talk about boring businesses. Sure, on paper, they might seem boring, but they are necessary businesses and they're never going to go away. They're not going to be replaced by Amazon or AI because everybody needs HVAC, everybody needs painting, everybody needs flooring, and you need people to provide those services.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Inside Spray-Net, where we feature the team behind the magic. I'm Carmelo Marcella, founder and CEO of Spray-Net. I started this company back in 2010, and shortly after, we began formulating our own proprietary coatings. Over the years, we've secured 4 patents on our processes and chemistry and built an incredible network of franchisees across all of North America. But enough about me. This podcast isn't about my story. It's about theirs. Today, my guest is Mr. Jay Balekar from Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you for having me, Carm. This is exciting.
Nice. Jay, the audience doesn't know you. How'd you get here? Tell us a bit about who Jay is before Spray-Net, how you got to Spray-Net and all that.
Sure. Yeah. My background is in basically computer engineering. So that's what I went to school for. And I was working for a consulting firm for about 10 years doing just cybersecurity consulting. And it was a travel job. So initially the travel was fun. Over time, it starts to wear you out. So it was impacting my health. And I was like, okay, I need to find some other options where I have a little better control over my time and I don't have to travel as much and I'm not stuck in front of a computer all day and I'm moving a little bit as well. I think as I was thinking, perhaps, I don't know if it was AI or these franchise headhunters already have a hunch when someone's going through a midlife crisis. And I was reached out to by a franchise consultant via LinkedIn. And we started talking about, you know what, I would like to be self-employed and start my own business. And looked at a few different franchise opportunities in different industries, health and fitness, tutoring, coaching, and home services as well. But Spray-Net definitely stood out to me. It was something that nobody else was doing because it's not a regular painting company. The products are manufactured by us and all the innovation that goes behind it. It immediately caught my attention. Although I got some initial information about some of the other franchise opportunities, I immediately pretty much ruled them out and started conversations with Spray-Net and the Spray-Net HQ team. So all of you guys. Yeah.
Well, I didn't even really know that story. Thanks for sharing. I know we've spoken at length about you exploring other opportunities, et cetera. And I know we had a good conversation around boring businesses, right? You said boring business. Can you shed some light on that a little bit?
Yeah, the thing is, yes, you hear a lot of people talk about boring businesses lately, especially people like Cody Sanchez who are kind of making it more popular, where boring businesses, sure, on paper, they might seem boring, but they are necessary businesses and they're never going to go away. They're not going to be replaced by Amazon or AI because everybody needs HVAC, everybody needs painting, everybody needs flooring, and you need people to provide those services. The other thing is most of these businesses are owned by baby boomers, and they are retiring at record numbers. And there's not a lot of people who are willing to take on those businesses because people are just going to college to get a job, but not many people are getting into service businesses. So there's a tremendous opportunity there. But then again, when you're choosing boring business, I'm of the opinion that at least try to choose a boring business that you slightly echo with and you think you're going to enjoy it. Because you're not just starting a boring business just to make money, but you also want to have fun while doing it. And that's why I was like, okay, Spray-Net being trades business fits perfectly into what I was looking for. But at the same time, I've always been more of a visual person. So when I saw the before and after of the kitchens and the exteriors we've done, I was like, wow, I'm going to enjoy this. But now we also have separation in the market and we're not competing just with any other painter. So it basically checked all of the check boxes that I was looking for. A boring business that's fairly recession resistant is something exciting that I'm going to enjoy doing. And on top of that, it's a differentiator and not something that everybody's doing. It's way more innovative.
So finally, it wasn't that boring.
It was not, and it is not. Every day is exciting. There's definitely a new problem every day, but that's the story with every business. You're going to have challenges every day. But if you enjoy the business you're in, it's a lot easier to overcome those challenges.
So let's shift gears a bit because I think this is almost the 20th episode we filmed of this. And one theme that keeps coming out of this is the reaction from customers is not boring at all. And that's why people get into this, because you go to HVAC or you go into roofing or whatever, your customer's not super excited about that. But talk to us about the customer reactions that you get at Spray-Net.
Yeah, absolutely. The reactions from customers have always been the most rewarding part of what we do. The challenge we have before we sell the work to a customer is twofold. One is education. Customers a lot of times don't know what we do differently. And we have surface specific coatings, for example, stain for brick. And I see so many people painting their brick homes, and we can actually stain it where it's actually approved by all the masons. So I tell the customers, speak to a masonry guy and see what he tells you, right? So that unique value proposition is something that people don't really know that we offer, and that's the education piece. The second challenge is visualization, right? So customers don't see how their kitchen or exteriors are going to look like after it's all done. So that's where the visualizer comes in, and we help customers visualize what their home is going to look like. But even then, after the project is done and the real thing looks 100 times better than any digital tool like the visualizer. But I've seen every single time when we go from dated dull kitchens to bright white or light color kitchens, and same thing with exteriors. We have a lot of brick homes here in Cincinnati area. So it's brick, beige color trim, and then burgundy shutters, like very 70s and 80s look. And then we move to white and black or grays, which are very popular these days. That home completely looks different. And I worked with customers who are getting ready to sell their homes, and I've been surprised by how much more they have gotten for their homes just after doing, let's say, a $10,000 to $12,000 paint job. They're getting about 30 to 35 more on the tail end when they sell the home. So it's an absolutely great financial decision as well, but the visual appeal is just mind blowing. So the customer reactions, I've had customers with tears in their eyes after they were done. Because I'll share one story here. I had one customer who was getting ready to sell their home because she absolutely didn't like the way her home looked. So they were already shopping for new homes. They met me at one of the trade shows, saw what we were doing, immediately got intrigued. I gave them a quote. I think our pricing was around 10 to 11,000 for all exterior. So shutters, doors, trim, brick. And they were like, oh, this is a lot cheaper than even the commission that they would have to pay to the real estate agent when they sell their old home. So let's give this a shot. Worst case, our home value is going to go up and we'll recoup that money if we still end up selling. They end up liking the home so much that they're still there 3 years after. I was swinging by their home just 2 days ago and then ran into them, and they're still there, absolutely loving their new home.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
I love it because some of these interviews are more on the emotional side. I love how like you're really breaking it down to the rational side of things, right? Like it's less than the commission, you get the ROI. It's basically a no-brainer when you look at it from a number standpoint.
absolutely.
Nice. So what's been the most surprising part then so far for you in terms of like customer reactions, building your team, whatever?
I would just say building a business is harder than you think it is. And I always thought it was going to be hard. You told us a million times during training that it's going to be super hard. And then it's actually twice as hard. So I think because if you don't come from a business background, especially home services, it's completely new. When you're in a job, you're given a certain vertical to focus on, and that becomes your niche, and that's all you. So you never really get to see the big picture when you're in a job. In contrast, once you become a business owner, you're the marketing guy, you're the sales guy, you're the production manager, you're the trainer, you're the finance guy, you're the bookkeeper for some time. I have a bookkeeper now, but so you're basically doing everything. You're HR, so you're compliance, you're legal. So it's just too many fires to fight. But once you've built those systems initially that take time, it relatively becomes smooth sailing. And then the second biggest challenge, which always stays true, is people. So attracting the right talent and then treating them right and making sure that you're compensating them at or above market even. That helps you retain the top talent. And then it's all about your team. Your team helps you grow. And that was a big learning lesson for me as well. And sometimes you might hire someone who might feel like a right fit, but they're not. They can talk the talk, but you got to go through quite a few people until you find someone who can actually walk the walk. But once you have them, you got to retain them, do everything you can to just keep them around. So people is, I would say, on an ongoing basis is probably the biggest challenge. but that's true with really any business all across the board.
I love two things that you said there. A lot of people talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk. And it's the same thing for us, right? Choosing franchisees to let them in. A lot of people talk the talk, but like you said, running a business is not so easy. So not everybody can walk the walk. But talk us through a lot of home service businesses, poor service, they don't call you back. And the reason for that is exactly what you said, is because they have all these hats on. Talk to us about how being part of a franchise actually benefits the customer, because you're not alone, right? You're a local business owner, but you've got the help of other franchisees of HQ, all these other systems. You don't have to build from scratch. So you can focus on delivering the best possible service. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. I would say that a lot of times customers are comparing us with any other painter, right? It could be Chuck in a Truck Painter or other franchise companies as well, but they subcontract a lot of their work. And we don't subcontract any of the work. So our teams are trained in using our products, in following our processes. Our teams are trained in doing the prep work, making sure that we are respecting the customer's home, no blaring music, smoking on site, and now you leave with cigarette butts in the mulch and paint buckets drained in the mulch, and now the mulch is all caked up. And a lot of times painters just leave a mess, and many times they're not presentable. So you just don't even feel safe having them around. So a lot of times our customers just open the door for us and they're gone for the day. They completely trust us. They see the team. They're like, yeah, you guys have a wonderful team. I'm completely okay with just leaving the home to you guys. We're working on their kitchen. We're inside their home and no one's there. So I think that level of trust, it's going to be hard to get that with just some random painter that you hire off the street. And then finally, it's the 15-year warranty. Like, we have to do good work so that we can back it up with our 15-year warranty. If we cut corners, we won't be able to back up our work with a 15-year warranty. And we do everything on site. So the customer actually sees every single step of the process that I tell them that we are going to do during the sales process. And then using the best possible quality of materials, because sure, someone who's using the cheapest possible paint, the home is going to look after transformation exactly the same for the first year or two, but eventually it's going to start to fall apart, versus now you've got a product with a 15-year warranty, but that's really designed for more like 20+ year lifespan. So it's really a permanent paint job. So the choice is theirs, whether they want to pick a paint job that's going to last for 3 to 5 years and they got to redo it every 5 years, or just do it once and never have to worry about it again. It's a pretty clear choice for me, from my perspective.
I think for me too, but maybe some will say we're biased, but we've seen so much, right? Like, it's a little bit more expensive, not much, like 20-25% more maybe, but like not even just a no peel, right? Like, you don't scratch it, it's washable, the gloss is just right. Like, we really thought about all of this. We've done thousands and thousands of holes. One thing that's coming up too is now subcontracting, and that's a huge thing, because at the end of the day, if you're able to subcontract something, essentially, what are you selling? You're selling time, right? So what we do is we've got, yes, the custom chemistry, but that's actually formulated for our custom equipment and our proprietary process. If you don't do those three together, it doesn't work, right? So it's exactly what you just said. It makes sense.
Absolutely.
No. Tell us about a recent job that made a real impact on your team or on the customer.
Actually, one of the most recent jobs that we did, we literally finished it yesterday.
Okay. Thanks.
Massive home, almost a 6,000 square feet home in a pretty affluent neighborhood. So phenomenal looking home, but the way the home presented from the exterior did not align with the customer's style at all. And they've been sitting on this decision for like 4 years. And every time they pulled in, they'd be like, they would be disappointed looking at their home because the color scheme, just the way it looked, was very dated. And they had redone everything on the interior. So interior was super modern. So there was this huge disconnect when you move from the exteriors to interiors. So we actually showed them what their home is going to look like in the visualizer tool. It was brick, all brick, stone, and trim work. And they went with a light gray, dark gray, white, and then black trim, that color combination. We were able to whitewash their stone as well, because the stone was yellow stone with red brick, the typical 70s, 80s construction. And the home just looks spectacular now. Yesterday, the client came out for the final walkthrough. The final walkthrough went quick, 20 minutes. They were absolutely blown away. And they kept going on around the house for 2 hours. They just loved it so much that they just didn't feel like going back in. They just kept looking at every single angle of that home. And when you see the clients do that, it's such a rewarding feeling that they absolutely have fallen in love with their home again. And now every time our client is going to pull in their driveway, she's going to feel great. I'm sure they've added at least 30 to 40 grand in their home value just by doing this. But just that satisfaction, your home is where you spend most of your time. And if we can help you fall in love with your home again, there's no better feeling than that.
Amazing. It's funny. My wife and I had a very similar experience. We actually built a house and we were choosing bricks on a little sample board. It was called Ivory White. When they installed the brick, I saw her face. It was yellow. So we had a yellow house. And like for years, I thought, should we just stain it? Just built this shit. Finally, we stained it and my wife loved the house again. So it's a very similar story. What we can do for such little cost is amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Makes a huge difference.
And so what's the biggest misconception people then have about Spray-Net?
People just don't know what we do differently. And sometimes I see that too, like people are apprehensive to even ask, especially I see that at trade shows and home shows. Only when they see smarter painting, a smart way to paint your home, that gets their attention. Okay, so what's more smart about this? But once people understand what it is that we do, they are sold on the concept. It makes sense. It's not rocket science. We know it's a surface specific chemistry. Everything is designed for a long lifespan, and we spray everything for a perfect finish. So we don't cut in with a brush. So now you see brush marks all around the edges of your home and stuff like that. We don't hand roll and that's not only for looks, but you get a pretty uniform thickness of product all the way through. So you're going to have less of those peeling issues that we have with brushes and rollers as well. So I believe, the biggest challenge is really communicating to customers, especially in the markets where we are new, making customers understand what we do differently. And if you have a customer who is going to choose quality over price, Spray-Net always becomes a no-brainer. That, okay, this is a product that's going to look great and it's going to last forever. But you have customers whose goals are completely different. If someone's flipping a house and they're just putting lipstick on a pig, we just decline to do a shoddy job. So we actually just don't do any of that cheap quality work. There's no reason to compromise on quality. I think there's enough work out there, lots of clients who are looking for top quality and the best possible experience, right? In terms of the end-to-end process as well.
It's funny, I was actually reading a Google review from Lexington, Kentucky, but the customer wrote, I waited a year before giving my Google review. And I can tell you, it still looks as amazing as day one. That's such it's such a testament to what we do, right? It's not for just the short term, it'll look good long term.
Absolutely.
So wrapping it up here, what's a funny or memorable customer interaction you've had?
Yes, I would say there was one customer, and this customer was a veteran, and he met us at the home show. He immediately fell in love with the concept, and also he saw a lot of the videos that we have on YouTube. So he knew he's going to get a really good quality paint job. Now, he did not have the budget to get all of the exterior work done. I think it was going to be roughly about an $8,000 job. We did a lot of back and forth. He really wanted to do it. We even offered financing options, but he wanted to pay with cash, old school. He didn't want any credit, any of that. So after 2 years, we just recently did that project about a month ago. So he waited to save up for this project, knew what he wanted. And because this individual was extremely disciplined, I saw his home, everything was immaculate. He did care about quality. So he didn't compromise on quality and just hired someone cheaper to get the paint job done. He valued the quality of our finishes. He valued the workmanship. And we appreciated that so much that we actually gave him a 20% discount and did his project at cost, also to thank him for his service. He was in 2 wars. And that was a very moving experience for both our team and for the customer. He didn't know he was getting a discount until we collected the payment. He was really moved. And that was a phenomenal experience because not only was he happy to see the end result, but also that we respected him and his service to the country. That was very emotional. So I think that's one experience that I'll never forget. I think that pays dividends in the long term. And the goodwill that you create is just unforgettable.
We'll talk about giving back to the community. That came up many times on this podcast. It's so important. And it's actually probably the most rewarding part of the job, being able to do that. Amazing.
Absolutely.
So actually, then wrapping this up, what advice would you give to someone thinking about starting a business, whether it be Spray-Net, anything in general? Any last words around that?
If you think you can hustle, I think you'll be a successful business owner, because you're going to have different challenges and different problems. And the only way you can overcome them is by hustling. And sometimes you don't know the answer, but there's someone out there who knows the answer. And with Spray-Net being a franchise, you have coaches, you have other people who have gone through the same journey. And then myself included, I'm in touch with a lot of other franchisees in the system who have gone through similar experiences. So if you can hustle, I think business is right for you. If you are so used to living in your comfort zone and you want the security of having a smooth, stable life, business is probably not for you, because it's going to be up and down. But as long as you can find solutions to your problems, this is a very rewarding journey. Every day is going to be a unique challenge. But if you ask me today, given an option, if you get all of your invested money back, would you go back to your job? Heck no. I'm not going back to my job, because it's hard, but it's equally rewarding. So I think that's my number one advice. And then exploring other businesses versus Spray-Net, I looked at a ton of businesses, dumpster companies, gyms, but there was nothing that was separating me from others. I think the only competitive advantage you would have is your own business skills. But even if you are great with business skills, if you are in a business that no one else can compete against, you offer something completely different, I think that's a huge differentiator. That was the differentiator for Amazon or for Tesla and some of these companies that have made it big. No one else was doing it when they started. And that's what propels your growth. I think you need to have innovation to rapidly scale your business. Because if you're in a plumbing business, electrical business, HVAC business, these are also good, boring businesses to have, but you're not offering something unique. So your growth is going to be slow and steady. So if you want to grow your business fast, you have to offer something different. And I think that's the beauty about Spray-Net. And not only are we offering something different, but every year or two, we are offering something new that's different, like the roofing solution now. So the R&D that happens, and if I was not in a franchise system, I would just not have the resources and the capital to deploy in R&D and come up with new products myself. So I would be stuck in doing what everybody else is doing. So that's the beauty about this business specifically.
Yeah, and I think on the flip side, you mentioned it a few times, awareness is really a bit more difficult for this type of business because nobody else is doing it. Whereas HVAC or plumbing, awareness is there. Everybody knows you got plumbers and stuff. So, you talk about growth. Our business maybe takes a little bit longer to get awareness, but once you get it, then it starts to snowball. And that's the beauty of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like you even mentioned, right? You had a customer for year one now, signing year three. And we see that over and over. As franchisees start to get to year 3, 4, and 5, really their challenge is how can we produce all the work that we're signing, right? Whereas at the beginning, it's how do we get the word out there? So there's a nice little shift that happens there.
100%.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and one thing I like to say too, is parting words for that is there's 3 pieces really to having successful businesses. Do you have the right concept? And obviously we're biased, but I believe we've got one of the best concepts. Do you have the right support? If you're going to be joining a franchise, support is important. If not, you have to figure that out on your own. And the third piece, probably the most important or equally important, is you. Can you hustle, like you said? So I like that you really made that simple for people to understand. Thanks so much, Jay. Where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, very active on LinkedIn. And then I've got a Calendly link that I can share. That's a quick way for people to just set up a quick 15, 30 minutes calls with me. I've been speaking with a lot of people who are exploring Spray-Net and buying into the franchise. So if you want to hear the backstory and how it's running the day-to-day operations, I would be more than happy to hop on a call.
Appreciate that. So if you're either a prospective franchisee or a customer in Cincinnati that wants a job, we will be putting all the links in the description below. Thanks so much, Jay. It was really fun talking.
Likewise, Carm. Always a pleasure.